All right, what is going on YouTube? Thank you for tuning in. And today we are going to get into some of the wonkiness of that EV tax credit that was just passed by the Senate. And yeah, so that's what we're going to get into today. Thanks for joining, and let's get to it. All right, so Senate, and I got my phone here, so because I jotted down a few notes, but yeah, so the Senate voted to pass the Inflation Reduction Act, or the IRA, of 2022. And what this does is to fund climate and energy programs. And for the most part, when we get to the EV tax credit side of it, it's going to remove the 200,000 unit cap, which Tesla, GM, and Toyota hit already. It's also going to extend this capless tax credit to 2032. Cars and sedans $55,000 and under will qualify for this tax credit. There's other stipulations, we'll get into that. And SUVs, trucks, and vans under $80,000 will also qualify for this tax credit. More circumstances to apply. We will get into that. All right, so now getting into the stipulations that I mentioned earlier. The vehicle must be assembled in North America. The mineral and battery components that comprise the battery must be sourced from a US or country with a free trade agreement with the US. And what this is supposed to do, it's intended for the US to reduce its dependency on foreign minerals and encourage manufacturing here in the US. Also, it's supposed to diversify the EV material supply chain, so it gets the US in the supplying of minerals game, just like with everybody else. Primarily, we're right now we're dominantly reliant on China for a lot of these battery materials because they have the biggest market, or the biggest companies doing this for them. So your car qualifies for this $7,500 tax credit if your delivery date is January 1st, 2023, which is the enactment of this credit. And your car's minerals are sourced from US or other areas with a free trade agreement, and your car has to be assembled here in North America. So North America meaning, of course, Canada, United States, or Mexico, either one. The Mach-E, from what I understand, is assembled mostly in Mexico, so that does help the Mustang Mach-E sales in that aspect. Now, for my take on this, I think this bill is extremely obscure, and I think they did it on purpose because the government basically said that, all right, so here's my take on it. I have a Model Y on order, and I'm very interested in this bill, right? But what the government just did was they threw a wrench in the entire game, because honestly, under these circumstances, as far as I can tell, not many electric vehicles apply. All right, most manufacturers, car manufacturers, don't supply their own minerals and batteries to themselves. They get them from partners like, for instance, the most famous one is CATL and Panasonic with Tesla. But most manufacturers cannot tell you where those minerals are being mined. They don't know where they come from. Hell, they probably don't even assemble them themselves, the battery materials themselves. Whereas Tesla is doing most of that. I mean, they do have partners, like I said, with Panasonic, CATL, but then also they do make their own batteries. So they do have two factories, a gig in Nevada and one off of Kettleman Road. No, not Kettleman, Cato Road. And those factories supply 18650s and 2170 cells, and I believe they're also doing 4680 cells in a very small ramp. They were putting them in the standard range Model Ys coming out of Giga, Texas, but that is, you know, for another video. Sorry, my daughter's here. She wanted to come to the park, and I figured this was a good time to get some videos out. Funny. For the cars that will or will not qualify for this, the Model 3 standard range is in that category, but unfortunately those LFP batteries come from China, so that's pretty much out. The Model Y should qualify, all trims of that, the long range and the performance should qualify for it, because now that they're using the 2170 cells and have been using 2170 cells, which are assembled and built here in the US, that should qualify. The only question would be is where's Tesla getting the minerals for these vehicles? That would be the only question that I would want answered. But overall, the government should provide us a list of which EVs do qualify for this tax credit, because it is two halves. So that $7,500 is broken into, you know, $3,750 and $3,750. You know, $3,750 for being assembled, the battery being assembled here in the US. Well, the car being assembled in the US, and then the minerals and the battery components being from the US or free trade agreement partners. So if they meet both those standards, then you will get the $7,500 tax credit. But I'm not sure. We really don't know. I am linking a Reddit user's post down in the description below if you want to see. They were so nice to go ahead and put together a list of EVs as possible. Do not take this as gospel. This is just something that I wanted to put out there for everybody to see, because I think it's going to be helpful, kind of giving a blueprint of what's going to be coming down the pipeline, possibly when the government starts putting out that list. And it is raining here, so I do apologize if there's any water on my camera, on my lens. But yeah, so I just wanted to update you guys real quick. Stay tuned for these. Oh wait, small tidbit. Once this, and this is from Electrek. I'm gonna superimpose that on here. Essentially what they said is, once the bill is signed, the domestic assembly part of this bill goes into effect immediately upon enactment of the bill. So foreign-made EVs will need to have a signed purchase order before that time, which is possibly this week, in order to qualify. So if you currently have a order for a foreign-made EV, what Electrek is suggesting is you reach out to whoever's making your vehicle and be able to get a purchase order to help either qualify for the current credit or qualify for the domestic assembly part of the bill that's going to go into enactment whenever it's signed, whenever Biden signs it, which he's going to sign it pretty much as soon as he gets it. The House, I believe, is going to be on board with it. We pretty much think it's going to pass. But overall, man, I really think that it's a sort of a win, but I think what should have happened was they should have ramped up that requirement for the battery minerals to be mined from the US. You don't really hear too much talking about how much we're mining here, like lithium, cobalt, nickel, and all that. So it's very obscure, and I think the government did that on purpose, because and you would think that they want to help like Ford and GM gain some sort of foothold, but it's whatever. I mean, they're only going to do what's good for them in the long run, so whatever. But you know, short term, I think this is somewhat of a win. We just need guidelines and clarification as to which EVs. And so if you're in the market for an EV, please stay tuned for that list whenever it comes out from the government. And as soon as it does get posted, I will post it and kind of go through it and give you my thoughts on it. I thank you guys for tuning in. My next video is probably going to be something about the Cybertruck, because we need to talk about the pricing and our expectations on said pricing. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you come back. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you guys. I'm a small channel, but just trying to be as informative as possible. Thanks.